meantime, well, welcome back after a 2-week extended break. Did everyone get a chance to get out and enjoy some good, relaxing time? Maybe not as much as Samir, but
Not quite that much, but
oh, you're up in the mountains, wasn't that right, Mark?
yeah, we got to go to North Carolina to visit my father-in-law, and he lives like right on the side of a mountain there, just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. So it was real nice, and got to go up on top of the tallest mountain east of the Mississippi. So that was kind of cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Grandfather Mountain?
Mountain Mitchell. I think grandfather's close, pretty close in height. You could see it from there.
Well, being Canadian, we get our holiday off the week earlier. So, but and being self-employed, I decided to take neither. So, the uh, the joys and the ups and downs of paying yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, well, welcome everyone again to the third live session, and tonight we've got well, lots to explore. Really, it's been great to see everyone posting their stuff, and again, it feels kind of like springtime. Everything's turning green and flourishing and flowering, and here we've got some wonderful personal Kanban gardens being tended to, and starting to see them taking shape and coming into their own. So looking forward to exploring that with you a little bit more tonight. So our format for tonight is, well, actually let me check my notes, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So again, we'll use Google Docs to do some interaction. We've got a Kanban board as well as a Google Doc for sharing some collective notes. What I'd like to do tonight, since you've now had hopefully a little bit of time to play with your boards, though I think some of them are still pretty freshly painted, to do a quick kind of retrospective on what's been happening for you so far, both with your boards and the course. And then really the bulk of it will be to dive into a lean coffee session, and I've pre-populated a few topics that I think would be kind of a good next step to discuss. But if you decide there's some other things you'd like to delve in more deeply, we can definitely do that instead.
Great.
Okay, so yes, so we're recording tonight, and I will do a failure bow. I had expected to have a lot more recorded content for you for tonight, and a combination of a lot more technical issues and me wanting to have a certain level of quality has delayed me getting more than I wanted done before tonight's session. So I think I got one posted, and yeah, it's been a learning curve, that's for sure, and different technologies that claim to do what they're supposed to do haven't been doing it for me, or I'm not doing it for them. I'm not sure which. So I think I've got a working solution now for the ones coming ahead. But I just wanted to say that I think what I'm going to do is actually offer a few more live sessions as well, and just kind of keep this going until it reaches a natural conclusion if you want to stick around a little bit longer, especially in light of not having as much content for you tonight. So just wanted to throw that one out there for you. Like I said, this was going to be a bit of an experiment, in lots of different ways. So thanks for being willing guinea pigs. Okay, so why don't we dive into? I'm gonna pull this over in the Kanban here. Is everyone in the Google Drive?
Yep.
Okay.
I am in there now.
Alright. So let's go into the reflection. So there's the bottommost Google Doc is my attempt to create a canvas just to do a high level reflection both on your journey so far with Personal Kanban, things that you're happy about, things that maybe you're a little disappointed about, things that perhaps are a little frustrating. Have you guys seen the Mad Sad Glad activity before for retrospectives? I
Yes.
expected a few nods.
Yes.
Yeah. Is this a new one for you, Mark Bradley? Mark?
I've heard of it, but I've never been part of one.
Okay. All right. Well, here's a little bonus for you tonight. A little bonus perk.
Great.
So basically, the idea here is choose a collection of post-its that you want to use and just fill them out and put them in really the right part of the canvas. So again, try to think of specific examples of things. What makes this activity work best is when we move from generalities to, I was really frustrated when I did this, or I was really happy when this specific thing happened, or that course video just really didn't do anything for me, that kind of thing. So let's just take about 5 minutes to do that, and then we'll have some rich stuff to explore.
We're dragging the yellow cards, Jerry, off onto the canvas.
What's that?
We're going to drag the yellow card. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you clone yourself, Eric?
No, I got bounced off the call, and then logged in again. Seeing
I
there's
see
two of
two of
me.
you.
So do I.
Yeah, his doppelganger is not moving, so.
Huh. It was interesting that it told me there was an error, and the call had ended, and then it prompted me to authenticate.
I just was making sure that I had chai and nothing else.
Well, I have that on the back porch if you need some.
You all are tagging your posts, right? Because I don't see delineation.
Sorry, I'm not following.
Your post-its, everybody's just creating. So do we tag them that who's written what?
Not necessary, unless you want to.
Okay.
All right. So if you got one more, pop that one out of your head, and we'll take a look.
I thought I saw being a guinea pig. I was going to put a +1 in the glad category for that, but now I don't see it.
Yeah, actually, it's I changed to practicing PK at the family level.
Gotcha.
And for the course one, I changed it to being the part of this group, actually.
Okay. If you're like me on my little MacBook Pro here, some of the text is hard to read. You can actually zoom in by clicking on there's a little magnifying glass in the toolbar there, or probably in the view menu as well. You can zoom in on the canvas if that helps you. So I was like, I'm getting old.
There we go.
Okay.
That's a little better.
All right, so just have a look there, see if there's anything that you're curious to know more about from whoever posted it, or something you'd like to share that you put on there.
I'll start if you
So we don't necessarily have to go through them all, but if there's something you really wanted to highlight or share, or if something that you're curious about, please do.
cost of physical boards of that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that your big aha, Mark?
Whiteboard costs are surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, whiteboards are ridiculous.
That's
Yeah. It wasn't bad with the science fair project boards they got. They were only about $5 a piece, but once you start getting like the artist tape and all that kind of stuff that I used, it kind of added up pretty quickly. But nowhere near the cost of an actual whiteboard. So it didn't have that kind of sticker shock with. but it's worth it. It wasn't actually all that bad. Oh man,
Sure.
you more than construction paper and a marker.
Mark, which video you are referring to in the course? The Lean Kit video was a big aha.
The one that Gerry posted after our last session, where he was mapping it. I'm assuming it's the same one somebody said about the swim lanes.
Yes, yep. I thought that was very helpful.
Yeah, so that was the big breakthrough for me, seeing how that worked, because that was one of the first annoyances when I started setting up my own personal Kanban board about a year ago. Couldn't figure out how to do that, and I only have about this much tolerance searching online help. So.
Okay. Sounds like one I.
Yeah, that was my.
Sounds like one.
That was my experience.
To contribute to the Lean Kit library.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Glad to know.
Special guest appearance. Yeah.
Glad to know that was helpful. Great.
Yeah.
The Google Plus thread's hard to follow with the +1. Did anyone figure out a way to make those a little easier to read, or I'm sure it's some kind of a flow stream consciousness type of setup.
I had a hard time with that too. I've been really surprised at how unintuitive that app has been on the iPad.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I haven't looked at it on the iPad. I finally figured out that whenever anyone commented, then that section bubbles back up to the top, which was
okay.
Yeah.
Kind of like Facebook in that way.
Yeah. Well, that's who they're trying to compete with. So.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, it's my first time really using Google Plus to any large degree, and I thought there were more ways to organize stuff than there is. Basically, we can just group things into discussion categories. I thought there were ways to tag things, but it seems that actually, now that I say that, I'm going to try experimenting with adding a hashtag to something. I know that Google Plus will automatically create hashtags sometimes based on what you post. That might be another way to group, but I haven't seen that as an official feature. Yeah, and it would be nice for me, especially when I'm trying to look at boards and whatnot, if there was a way just to kind of see them all in one place. But so that's been a bit not as nice as I'd like.
Well, it takes a learning curve. That's what my course-related board is, and actually it should be the technology part, and that's where I wanted to highlight that. Where do we? The intuitiveness is not there while creating the pictures. We have a Mark's topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so maybe actually one of the things that I've been thinking about doing, it kind of relates to the final hour board postings. So it's obvious that having some deadlines is helpful for people in general. So because the boards tend to get posted at somewhere around Monday afternoon. So one of the things that I was thinking about doing is actually creating an event, and a few days before the course, we'll talk a bit more about the date in a moment, but just to have an event that's kind of like our show and tell, and you could actually attach, maybe I'm hoping there's a way you can attach your boards to the event, and then it'll be in one place, and then you sort of have an earlier deadline to get it there, and that would give me and others more time to give you feedback before the call. So that's one thing I wanted to try. Does that seem like a worthwhile or a helpful experiment?
I think so.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. And I know someone else catching up on all the material, and one of the things I've noticed. So this time we had 2 weeks. Although for some of you it was really 1 week because you were out in the mountains or wherever you might happen to be doing all those good things. How are you finding the pace right now? I mean, we originally scheduled this to kind of be every week, learn some new material, apply it, check back in. I'm wondering if that's a little too quick, and if going to more of a 2-week schedule would give you more time to play with your boards, learn a bit of new material, and not feel as pressured to pack it all in.
Yeah. Plus, the 2-week space was nice for me just for that. It gave me a chance to heavily revamp my board. Not that I would need that every time, but gave me a chance to really think about what I was seeing on the new board as I was migrating things over.
Okay.
I think the 2-week schedule might be nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think the 2 weeks was good as well. Maybe an option to do check-in, like you offered. I think that would be great. So in case there's some, outstanding questions, get a little, live interaction there, or a half-hour group meeting for those that can attend, that kind of thing, on the offer.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking about that too, and I'm certainly happy to do the live check-ins. I need to find a better way to schedule them because last time was a little crazy. But yeah, I'm happy to check in with people at the start of, let's say, that second week. So maybe if we had something like posting your board for feedback, maybe kind of halfway like after week 1, get some chance for some feedback, a chance to make some more tweaks or whatever, and then do your reading in the second week, and then you're ready to discuss it in that next call.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Okay.
Gerry goes on for the first week, learning new things for people who don't know the concept, and that would help. And as we get into creating your own board, after that, I believe a 2-week time frame would be helpful because that would help people take their tasks through the whole value stream.
That's a good point.
I'm with you on that. Okay. Any other quick questions, observations, proposals? I love the carry fewer items in my head.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, doesn't it, eh? Just to know you have a system that you can count on. And so, did anyone notice too? Like for me, part of it is not carrying it, but also it's like that instant snapshot of knowing the state of everything. So it's kind of like, when you need to think back to what's next, it's just like a really quick glance, and it's like, glance and go, as opposed to a lot of that overhead of processing. Okay, now what do I do? I know for you, Mark Kilby, that was something that you were finding challenging with pure GTD. So is some of that overhead come down for you?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's just see kind of everything on the board and knowing that I could filter it if I needed to. That was fantastic. And I'm still migrating things out of Toodle-Doo onto this, but just not having to flip through lists has been kind of psychologically relieving.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for that feedback and celebration. Lots of great things to be joyful about today. So we got some improvements.
Yeah, cool.
Got some winnings. All right. So let's move into our next part here. Let's do some lean coffee. All right. Pull it into our board. Now, Mark Kilby, you're a master lean coffee guy. How about I let you take the reins this time?
Sure.
Since we got you for the whole session for a change.
Yeah. So hopefully, it seems like a few have found the lean coffee board, but if you're on the Google Drive, it's that first document on the Google Drive. So let's spend a little bit of time placing topics on the Post-its, the yellow Post-its on the left. And Gerry, we're focusing on we have a theme for this one? Sorry.
Well, it's fairly open. I did pre-populate a few topics that I had wanted to, have self-paced learning for you to do. So because I didn't, I put them in here so we could talk about them if that's what you want to talk about. If not, they will be published as videos for you to look at in the next 2 weeks. So it's not like we won't cover it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so I put repeatables up there because somebody wanted to hear how I was handling that. So
Yeah, that'd be great. That was me.
okay, cool. I couldn't remember. I was trying to quickly struggle with Google Plus responses.
Yeah, I hear you.
Somebody's having a good time in the background.
Yeah.
I think those are Jerry's, right?
That's okay. Mine are 2 rooms away and plugged into Doctor Who right now. So the joy of Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to catch up on that too.
All right. Looks like a couple people are still entering topics. Or are we done? Does anybody need more time?
I'm good.
Good.
I wish I had more to add, but I don't think I do.
Well, we might think of others as we go along. How long do we have for this time segment, Jerry?
We've got about 40, 45 minutes.
40, 45 minutes. Okay. So let's each of us grab 3 dots, and you can put them all on one topic or spread them out, however you wish. So go ahead and grab 3 dots and vote on topics that you want to talk about.
Okay. And managed to hide it all.
I love how it creates like a little glow around this dot when you grab it. Oh, somebody's trying to...
I seem to.
I could say somebody really doesn't want to talk about metrics.
I think-
No, I'm trying to create.
Have the hardest
Some
time
are going
moving.
behind it. Yeah. Some of them are going behind it.
Yeah, I put a dot there and it ended up behind the
Oh,
rectangle.
nice.
Here, hold on. I
Am I
think,
grabbing the rectangle?
Here, why don't you put it beside it then?
See.
Interesting. Ha!
all right, I'm gonna stay out of that kitchen. I'll let you guys fix that. I saw 2 dots behind.
Yeah. So okay.
I'm having a hard time picking them. Maybe I need to zoom in here.
Same
Yes.
happened with my repeatables thing. So all of them are going behind.
Just put it beside the post-it. That's gonna be my
So let me get rid of some of these others since we're not using them. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was another one back there. Oh, there is. There's the hidden dot. Okay, hopefully that helps a little bit now that we spaced them out.
For some reason on my computer, I can't grab them. Once I highlight them, get a blue square around them, and that's it.
Ah,
Okay.
I
interesting.
don't get the.
Where do you want it, Mark? Tell me.
Thank you. So if you could put 1 on repeatables,
One on repeatables.
You know, I don't have these problems with a face-to-face lean coffee.
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Next.
Incorporating goals and then metrics and measurements, please.
So is there space in the world for a lean coffee app?
Yes, and
A new startup idea.
As long as it gives me discounts at Starbucks, yes.
I don't know. I'm pretty entertained.
Okay. I hope I got them.
All right.
Oh, you know what? We didn't do, Mark. We didn't introduce them. Maybe it's not.
No, we didn't. But I guess they were intuitive enough that people voted on them anyway.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Cool.
I figured Board Showcase was like The Price is Right.
yeah.
Here we go.
Da-da-da.
Three.
That guy's still alive.
One
So
last.
have we maneuvered
No.
our votes? Oh, no, we still got some. Okay.
One last.
All right, cool. So everyone's got their 3 votes in?
Yes.
I have.
Yep, I have.
Okay. We're short somewhere because we should have 15 up there, but that's okay. If you guys are good with it, I'm good with it. So we got a tie for first place, repeatables and metrics. Any burning desire for one over the other first?
I think
All
either
right.
to start with.
All right, let's just go with repeatables since it's close, and while Jerry's putting on his scuba mask.
Yeah.
All right.
Snorkel.
I didn't get to go on vacation,
Yeah.
so this is as good as it gets.
Oh, you need to fix that, Jerry. Then go on a real vacation.
I'm going up to the camp this weekend, so.
Okay, cool.
Well,
I thought you were just getting ready to dive into the information.
There you go.
Taking the
All right,
plunge.
what do we want? What do we want for a time box?
I'd suggest 8 minutes.
Okay. My timer's being slow.
What I find works well too is if you want to continue, then you keep having it. So then you do 4 minutes, then 2 minutes.
Yep. Since this was a question, I think from Mark B. Let me get my screen share up, and I'll spend like a couple minutes describing what I've come up with for repeatables, and then we'll see what questions people have. Are you seeing my Kanban board now?
Yes.
See it in place of your face, but it's not on my.
If you click on Mark, then
Yep.
it should pop up.
Oh yeah. There we go. Thank you.
There we go. All right. I gotta switch. Okay, so I have the repeatables on the bottom of my board. And something I should tell you is the colors are different projects from a GTD sense. So a project is anything that has more than one step to it. So you see exciting things like clean the litter boxes, which I'm trying to get my kids to do more of, but occasionally I get to do that. But there's other things like taking vitamins and stuff like that. So some of these things move day to day, like the vitamins and taking my allergy meds. Other things are weekly, and so when they're weekly, they would get shoved to the done column here in the far right. And then the other one I have is soon on the far left, and it doesn't have a particular day, but something I'd like to get done in the next week or so. Another thing that I set up, and I think I had some of this in the post I did yesterday because I've been tweaking a little bit more, is on the backlog. I've also been experimenting with how I want to represent repeatables. So I kind of have this rolling wave planning of 3 months, so it continuously moves forward. And so one of the problems I had is there's some things I need to do every 2 weeks, and so I was trying to wrestle with how do I represent that. So what I do is with the current month, I have week 1, 2, 3, 4, and if I have a 5-week month, I've got this last column. And so things that are bi-weekly, I'll drag them 2 weeks out when I've completed them, drag them back to the backlog for that. So I just started doing that and can't really say how well it's going to work yet. But also things that are a month or 2 out, I put those in these columns. The last part of it is things that I kind of do on a quarterly or semi-annual basis, or things that I know I've got to do further in the year. So things like I've got to get some new uniform pieces for my 8-year-old for his Cub Scout uniform. So that's coming up when he goes back to school in August, so I don't have to worry about that right now. But it's out there, and I can pull it in sooner if I want to. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, so I'll just kind of open it up for questions.
I'm jealous. And envious, I should say.
Inspired?
Hey.
Yes, that's fair.
Mark, back on your the repeatables that were in your main board. So
Yeah.
when let's say you complete something on a Monday, you just move it.
So
You just move it into Tuesday. You don't really differentiate that it's done at that point. Done is moving it to Tuesday.
Well, so for instance, I didn't exercise today, so I would probably just move it over here at the end of the day, or just if it didn't happen, I would catch up on it later. But some of these things, like taking my vitamins every day, I will forget if I don't have some sort of reminder. And so I just drag it from day to day. And what I noticed when I started this last week is this part of the board starts getting empty, and these things over here that I don't have a particular day, they kind of hang out there, and it reminds me, oh yeah, I've got this other stuff I got to do. So that's kind of been a nice reminder of things I need to get done, but not on a particular day.
So you've only got one card for each thing. Therefore, if it's Thursday and your vitamins are back on Tuesday, you know, gosh, I've skipped 2 days.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, I got you. Yep, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Another nice thing about this is if I go on vacation, I don't know if you guys have played with the filters yet in the Lean Kit, but since I've got this by project type, I can filter certain items by what's been sitting there for a while, or let's say I go on vacation and I don't want to worry about my work stuff. I can shut that off and it just shows stuff. Or maybe I've gone out on vacation. I don't want to worry about home improvement stuff because that's not very relaxing. So I can shut that stuff off. So that's where so far it seems to be advantageous, and that stuff is still there if I want it, or I can just completely hide it.
Yeah, that's nice. I haven't messed with the filters yet, but that looks like there's a lot of power in that.
Yeah. So Gerry, your video was a huge inspiration.
I'll be sure to collect my royalties from Linkit.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tweet about it so they'll know it's you.
Yeah, I've not played much with filters either, so I'm really I'm liking what you're doing here with the filters.
Yeah, because as I was saying in my posts, something else I might play with if I really start missing GTD is I could set up context by tags and tag some of these items.
Yes.
So you can see where I've started tagging a few things, like things I want to talk to my wife about.
Mm-hmm.
So I can turn that on and go, oh yeah, these are things I want to ask her about. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So it's your whole thing with swim lanes really helped me kind of see how I could really use the tool better.
Yeah, you've really taken it to a whole new height. Well, and for you, I mean, you're doing something that a lot of people don't do, and that is really try to get your whole life in one system. So that's really, in a lot of ways, force you to find ways to filter out some of the noise, right? Because you've got a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
So yeah, you really come up with a creative approach. I'm curious.
Yeah, for me personally, I found that if I try to maintain a system per context, I will lose something. So this way, I get to see the whole system of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you were going to ask a question, I think.
Well, the one thing I'm curious about, like with the repetitive stuff, like for me, the one thing that where the tools fall down is in helping me uncover patterns to do things better. You know, like they're great at telling me what to do, but like your exercise, for instance, is that a new routine that you're trying to get in place, or is that something that's been there for a while?
Well, so something that's been there for a while. And this will change significantly as I get closer to November, because I'm another part of this is I'm testing for my second degree black belt in Taekwondo, and so these items that are in the dark gray are some of those items. I'm starting some early preparation, but as I get closer to November, there's going to be more of these dark gray items showing up as I have to practice more and more for that. So that's something I'm still not sure how I'm going to represent that. And we just hit our 8 minutes.
Okay.
If you want to, thumbs up, continue, sideways, don't care, or thumbs down if you want to move on. So I see side, up, side. Gerry, any preference?
Sorry, my camera's whacked.
Okay, that's okay. We'll do 4 minutes, or actually, want to split in half, so one of us wanted to move on there. How about that? All right.
Sure.
Questions you guys have?
Yeah, so for me, it was just more of a comment. I thought it looked really nice earlier when I looked up the board on the community site, and I was just wondering how, because it still looked like there's a ton of stuff on there, like
Yeah.
maybe an overwhelming amount, but just having you walk
Yep.
through it, I think, was extremely helpful because the filters are huge, and then just seeing how you're handling the color coding and all that, I could see how you could add all this stuff on there and make a lot of sense out of it.
Yeah. So, and that's a very good point. And I want to go back to something that Gerry said is having the tool help me analyze this a little bit better. So one of the things I noticed is a lot of things started piling up in the soon column. So you notice I set a whip limit there. So I wanted to start flagging me when I start piling a bunch of things there. I also set a whip limit for all the repeatables so that if I'm trying to load too much in there, the whole board will go red. And so that happened a couple times over the last 2 weeks. And so some things I decided, you know what, I don't need to do that now, and I pulled it off the board. So that was helpful. And I think I mentioned also that I set whip limits per swim lane, and then this overall board limit is a sum of those. So there were a couple times where I said, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing this. The whole board went red, and I went, aha, okay, so I'm taking on too much, and so I took that stuff off the board.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the way you are using Lean Kit. I don't know if we'll be able to do that in the physical board, so that's kind of a...
Yeah.
Definitely think you could be a spokesperson for them.
Well, I might blog about it, but yeah, it's this has been, well, it's fun. I'm a gadget geek, so I'll sit there and play with it. Okay, so we hit our 2 blocks. So do you guys want to continue? Don't care, or all right, let's move on.
Just one quick final comment there. Of course, with LeanKit too, if you're trying to incorporate new types of repetitive things, you can always add in like notes and so on into the post-its. So when you do your retrospective and you look at, say, when you did your exercise, you can maybe uncover some patterns.
Yeah, I
used it.
Yeah, I started to do that just today, Gerry. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
Yep. I have some examples on the board if you want to see.
Okay.
Ah, cool.
Where are we going next?
All right. Let's see. Let me get back to
metrics, I think.
Metrics. Yeah. Okay, so we talked about that. Let's talk about metrics. Okay, so whose topic was this, and what do we want to know about it?
I'm trying to. I tried to introduce that topic, and what I want to learn from that is how do we use actual metrics? What kind of data we are looking for? Looking at the patterns. So I think some of the things that are already there, like the filters that you said, the colors of stickies. What are a few things that you would start measuring, and how would that help improve your value stream as well as activity? Because I believe Mark has already been through some of his these iterations. So if you look at my board, the repeatables are just ready, doing done, and Mark has scheduled it a pattern for a whole week. So obviously he reached there by using some of the metrics. That's the point I was trying to get to. How do we measure that? What works? And wanted to hear from people about that.
Sounds to me like part of it is metrics, maybe part of it is just what level of granularity do you want to provide the right level of visibility. Like when you talk about...
I don't have I just have the basic version. So there's CFD and the pattern things. Does anybody have it, and can somebody share that with us if they have the
like a CFD?
Premium version. Oh. Yeah.
So I'm trying to regenerate it right now. It's taken a while.
Okay.
So
I've lost Mark's audio.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah, Mark, we lost it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what was useful was seeing the whip limit overruns on the CFD, and also seeing where the flow was kind of jagged in certain places instead of where you want a nice even flow lines. But also, this was like the first 2 weeks, so I'm not looking at that as a useful trend yet. But it was just kind of interesting to see some of that.
Are you
Mark,
sharing your screen?
No, not yet, because it's still. All right, hold on a second. I think I might have it.
And Mark, are you talking about the metrics that are built into LeanKit itself?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, trying to. There's something I'm not good at is adjusting these.
It's not a very friendly widget.
No, it's not. Nuts. Yeah, this is gonna burn through our time, I'm afraid. Let's see if I can get that. Oh, there we go. I'm not sure how long this is gonna take. Oh, there we go. So this was last week when I started rebuilding the board, and so you can see all the different types of projects, and so this is where I was. You can see the brown here, where I think that was adding a bunch of repeatables. Yeah, so that's where I was adding a bunch of my repeatable stuff in there. But you can also see where I hit the whip limits, and so that's as I was designing the board and playing with the whip limits, and then you notice they start becoming less frequent as I was adjusting those whip limits. So it's been useful. And you can also see where it's it kind of evens out at certain times as I decided not to add things to the board over certain periods of time, and just see how I reacted to the board. Yeah.
And just so you know, for myself, I think I've only looked at CFDs maybe twice in all the years that I've been using digital Kanban tools. So you certainly can use these, and if you're really into data-driven stuff, yeah, by all means. There was an interesting conversation on the Personal Kanban mailing list about using metrics like this, and the sense I got from a number of people, including Eric Wilkie and Jim Benson and others, is they'll tend to use stuff like this more when they're trying to troubleshoot. Like if something just doesn't seem to be feeling right, or something's not totally clear, and so pulling up your CFD can obviously maybe provide a bit more visibility into what's going on. But there are other metrics you can use that are a lot simpler. Granted, LeanKit gets you this for free. But I think for me, a big thing is playing with your whip limits, and looking at your throughput, for example, which could be as simple as just how many cards you're getting done in a week, and really trying to optimize that flow, right? Trying to see how many cards you want to be handling at any one time in different stages of the process, and that kind of segues into some of the cards that I meant to have ready for this week. Is once you start visualizing everything and you're really getting a full picture of everything, now you've got the highway, but the traffic's not being managed. So the next part is now to how do you design the highway in a way that allows them to flow through there nice and smoothly, right? So
exactly, yeah.
I think you hit the point there. Some of the things that you mentioned, Gerry, was like how many cards I have moved in this week. Right now we are focused, earlier we were just focused on doing things and, just being happy about what's moving. But it was moving at a very slow pace. I think why I talked about metrics and measurements is having a metrics right out there that, this week we created X number of cards and we moved Y number of cards, which is X is, Y is less than X, or we added some more interruptions. That's going to help us understand a little more about where we might be doing wrong. instead of just letting the work flow.
Sure. So what I'd encourage you to do is, just like as everything's an ongoing experiment, is just focus on one particular aspect that you really want to try to improve, and then create define the measures that you need to give you the feedback. Right. So if part of it is, if you're in a work office, part of it is, okay, I'm getting interrupted all the time. At least I think I am. So your metric would be just collecting all of the interruptions and the kinds of interruptions and maybe when they happen and with who, to try to uncover the patterns. Maybe there's certain work that you're not getting done, you're kind of avoiding. Well, set up an experiment to figure out how to change that. So your metrics are really driven by what it is that you want to try to improve, or maybe it's just what you want to see. Sometimes you don't know what you want to improve, but you want to learn some more, so you set up your data to give you that.
Yeah, and that's what this review column is for me on the far right, and I can hide that until I get into a weekly review cycle.
That's how I use my retrospective column.
So we hit our time box, so thumbs up if we want to continue, don't care, or down if you're ready to move on. So looks like we're kind of tied there. I'm waiting for Gerry's. So Gerry's ready to move on. So Mark, was there a quick question or comment?
Yeah, real quick, and it might elicit some conversation for another time, but just curious, since I'm using a physical board for the family and digital for work and personal stuff, is there any kind of a tool to use for tracking metrics for a physical board, other than just coming up with stuff on your own, tracking it in a spreadsheet?
I think the simplest thing really is the spreadsheet. If you just write the date on the ticket when you pull it into progress, and then once you finish it, you go to the spreadsheet and say, okay, this was the start date, this is the finish date. That's the best solution for that manual board that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So,
probably.
Again, just be really clear on what it is you want to track and why. You may not even need that kind of data. I can tell you, I've never collected it at home.
Okay.
So actually, creating a goal on your board, why you want to track and what you want to track will help probably. That I think would help define if that data is useful.
Yep.
Do we want to collect it, yes or no?
Bingo.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Next topic then is incorporating goals. I've started the 8-minute timer. Who had that
was
one?
Me. And
I had a feeling.
and we've kind of started talking into it. So perfect. So one of my observations in working with a lot of people in Personal Kanban, and now seeing this with this group here, is I'd like everyone to get really intentional each week about what it is that they're focused on, both with learning in this Personal Kanban group, and also just obviously the whole point of it is in trying to improve our daily lives, whether it's at the workplace or at home or both. And so the point of that is then the board serves a certain means to an end. In addition to getting stuff done, there's that focus on doing one or two things a little bit better, hopefully this week or 2 weeks, whatever your time period is. So what I'd like to do is, both with this course and for you outside of this course, is make sure that there's something on your board that visualizes what it is that you're trying to improve this week, or what it is you're trying to learn, and create your measures, right? What it is that how are you going to measure it? How are you going to know whether or not you're improving or not? Or how are you going to know how you're going to learn about whatever it is? So that when it comes time at your reflection, you've got some really useful data that can tell you how you're doing towards getting towards that goal, right? So that's really what I wanted to say about that primarily.
If I can add, Gerry, here, that if you're just talking it to yourself, that's not going to help. I think I would suggest having a partner in crime, either your family member or somebody who's accountable, not only for that goal but the same stuff. That would probably help.
And certainly if others can see your board,
Yes.
then that creates some of that visibility too, right?
Yes.
So one of the things I've done, my wife and I, like one time we were trying to shorten the amount of time involved with everything related to food. Those things we wanted to do in our lives, and it seemed like the one area we could try to streamline more was around food. What food planning, food purchasing, food preparing, food eating, cleanup, just seems to gobble up tons of time.
Yep.
So we decided that we wanted to first learn about how much time are we spending on these things. So that was our improvement goal, was just to learn, just to make that visible to us. And so we created basically just a sheet of paper beside our Kanban board, and as we went through each day, we could write down the different activities we were doing related to food, and that would help us, kind of set a baseline. Was that a ding for our time?
No, sorry, that was just my wife texting me.
No, we still have about
you to
4.5
pick
minutes.
Right. So we tracked that, and we had that data for a reflection, and then that led into an experiment the following week to say, okay, well, let's see if we could do an extreme thing and limit preparation of food to 30 minutes tops every night. Not sustainable, but what would that do in terms of freeing up time for us? So that was our experiment, right? And we could track. So to do that, we then had to figure in advance, well, what kind of meals are we going to do, and then keep track of that time and that sort of thing. So again, sort of each week being really intentional about one thing that you want to do, and then just coming up with a way to track it, so that when you then have your retrospective, you've got something that you can evaluate. And if you've got that metric or that data you're trying to collect as part of your board or beside your board, that makes it a lot more likely you're going to do it too.
I'm glad we share the same story, Gerry. Same exact stuff here.
These things are harder to do if you're purely digital, obviously. Because not everything fits well in a standard Kanban board. You can link to things via a card or something. Like if you have an improvement goal, maybe you link to a spreadsheet or whatever it is you want to use. If you're doing it all digitally, that could be an option, I suppose. But yeah, that's kind of one area it falls apart a little bit.
So we use a combination of planning and outsourcing, as I said. Sundays, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, somewhere whenever we get time, we do the meal planning, 30 minutes max. And evening meals, as you said, 30 minutes max prep. And lunches, sometimes we get food from one of our friends or help, which is healthy, reliable, so we don't have to worry much about it.
All right. Any other thoughts there?
I think it was helpful to hear how you were tracking it, Gerry, on a separate sheet of paper, because that was one question I had is, do people typically track these as a ticket itself and move it across the board? But it sounds more like it's just another tool that you've got up there to help you focus in on the important things in your life. And you can have it as a ticket, or you can treat it as a separate thing altogether. So that was helpful.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's good to boldly state on your board somewhere what your improvement goal is, and that could be beside your board or it could be right on your board. But then also, have your visible charts, whatever it is you need to collect the data with your board as well.
Yeah.
So I took that question that you asked us, Gerry, at the beginning of the topic, and I actually popped that on my board.
Awesome. Leading the way, Mark.
Just trying to follow the master here. All right. Well, we got about a minute left. Any other thoughts or questions?
So everyone feeling ready to add a goal section to your board then?
Definitely.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, one thing I would suggest, at least in doing other kinds of goal setting exercises, is keep it small. You know, just like in our retrospectives, you only want to tackle maybe 1 to 3 things per week, and even 3 is pushing it sometimes. So you notice there's not much in my focus section there, because I want to make sure I focus on it.
Yeah, especially when you're just
All
building
right.
new muscles, you know. Go for those quick wins.
Uh-oh, you're breaking up, Gerry. Say again?
Oh,
Go for the quick
Yeah.
wins.
build some momentum.
Exactly. All right, so seems like we ran out of energy, but we'll do a quick vote. We want to move on or continue? Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to confirm visually. All right, so now we are optimizing flow. Who had that one?
That'd be me.
Aha.
I voted for it.
All right.
Same here.
Okay, so let's see, what can we talk about there? I think, so in the few minutes that we have here, really what I wanted to say about this is, you know, so far we've really just talked about visualizing the work, and that's a huge thing, right? Just really starting to see what all our options are, seeing how things are moving or not moving. That's half of the 2 rules of personal Kanban. But then we want to get it. Then we want to do the next thing. We want to start making it better. And so the primary. So if you haven't started experimenting with WIP limits yet, then this is really the time to start doing that in this next couple of weeks. In particular, paying attention to that stuff that you've already committed to and you've invested time in. So basically, your in progress stuff you're doing, you're waiting on. That's really where you want to focus your attention in applying your first WIP limits. And typically a number between 3 and 5 is pretty common. There's no magic formula to figuring it out. The only thing I would say is pick a number and stick with it for at least a week, even if it doesn't seem to make sense, because you need enough time to experiment with it. And also, you know, it should feel a little uncomfortable because you're working in a different way.
It's a constraint.
Right, yeah. So I would say, you know, as a minimum, to try to optimize flow, focus on that, and obviously you can extend that to further parts of your board. The value of having limits in the planning side, right? So whatever columns you use, whether it's a today column, a ready column, or, you know, weekly, monthly, whatever it happens to be, by applying limits like Mark's been showing us on his board, we've kind of reduced the overhead of looking at our options. There's no point in looking at our options that aren't in the near horizon. So we're trying to avoid the churn as much as possible and just focus on doing. So putting limits at different parts of our board will allow us to do that. And, you know, again, the biggest thing is to start with the doing. We didn't, you know, I think you're probably all pretty knowledgeable about, you know, the impacts of multitasking and what that does, right? So that's really where you're huge. That's where you're gonna recoup your time, when you can keep that low, and stuff will move across a lot more quickly.
Well, so this is Mark. I'll say one of the big things about trying to get my life on a board is when I get into some of those situations where I've had to rapidly shift between task or context. What's been different from this versus GTD is I didn't have to try to figure out what context I was getting back into. I just had to look at the board and go, oh, okay, yeah, I gotta get back on this and this. So it was much faster to kind of reorient myself when there was some urgent things that popped up.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, and I think setting those WIP limits was a big part of it because I didn't have too much in the doing parts of my board because of that.
Now, of course, the other part related to limiting your WIP is, making sure that your work items are a reasonable size. Obviously, if you've got a card that says renovate your basement, limiting that is not as helpful. So part of it's playing with the size of things, and one of the things I've struggled with at times is when you say limiting WIP. Well, at what level are we talking about? There's the limiting WIP of making phone calls. There's a limiting WIP of projects. There's that you can apply limits at all those levels, and you really need to think about that in terms of optimizing the flow of everything. But we can't do all that right at the start. But as you get more comfortable with applying limits in your life, that's where you'll want to naturally go to next, is not just what's happening in the here and now and limiting that, but kind of looking at the bigger horizon, the bigger picture, and what are all the different projects and things that we're putting our time into or wanting to put our time into. There's an overhead to that as well.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, I've got one big item on my board right now. It says move above ground pool. That's not a one-day thing.
Especially if it's to my house.
Yeah.
All right. Any topic? We still got time. We got about a little more than 2 minutes.
What are some of the columns you guys find yourself putting WIP limits on, other than, there's the obvious one of in progress, maybe your first column for your intake column, whatever you want to call it, ready. What other types of columns do you guys like to put WIP?
If you have like a blocked column or a holding pen column, I think it's good to limit the number of things you'll allow in that state. And if you hit that limit, then look, I'll just pick one of them and try and get it unblocked.
Yeah.
Similarly, I would use, so thanks, Eric, for that point. So I'll make sure we have that. For our board, we have retrospective, and I have a limit of 5. So before moving anything to done, we make sure we, as a family, discuss those all and capture notes on how we have felt about that. Then move them to done. So it forces us to then go and bring things in ready and move them.
Okay, great.
So this is Mark. For me, it's I have not experimented that much with the individual columns. It's been more with the swim lanes as I try to focus on planned versus unplanned versus goals versus repeatables. The one exception to that is that today column, because I found myself initially getting a little stressed about how much I was trying to load into today. So I forced myself to set some limits there, and that helped.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's my suggestion too, is start with just 1 or 2, or just start with a little bit of optimization and see how that impacts how the flow of your work changes, right? And then gradually introduce more and more into it. If you start playing with too many things, then you're going to just get frustrated and not really know which thing is impacting what, and then the fun starts to sap out of the whole Kanban thing, and before you know it, you're back to your Outlook Manager task list.
No, I'm not going back. Okay, so we hit our time box there. Continue, don't care, or ready to move on?
Ready to move on.
Nice.
Yeah, I got the major video lag tonight.
Yeah, a little laggy there. So Samir, you had a thumbs up. Did you have like a final comment or a
Uh,
question?
Quick question, and we can discuss it later. I just wanted to understand how people are using holding pen versus waiting on. Are they different or the same? Or
Hmm. I assume they're the same, but maybe you're seeing something different on how some of us are using it.
that was my assumption. Is anybody using it as different? If yes,
No, I would
I
treat
would
them
like
as the
to.
same.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
That clears the confusion. Thank you.
yeah. I just prefer the term waiting as opposed to in the pen because I feel like I'm being penalized if I have a pen. So words have very interesting meanings for us psychologically. So
Right. Right.
yeah, you
Absolutely.
pay attention to those.
And I wouldn't use waiting unless there was something.
That helps. That helps me think through. So maybe I'm the one who can create the first board with both the columns.
There you go. All right, let's move on to the next one. This was mine actually, one board or multiple. So I made the statement that I like having all my stuff on one board, but Jerry, I know that you have multiple, and so I was curious from you, Jerry, and others who might be using multiple boards. What does that do for you?
Well, there's two big reasons why it's that way for me. One is there are two very big contexts that.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
No.
I think there's an earthquake upstairs.
Not yet.
Yeah, your video's not in sync, but your audio seems fine.
All right. I'll be like one of those bad Chinese movies.
Either that or you're going retro to the 80s, like Max Headroom.
Right.
So I have two. My professional work doesn't really involve anyone else, and my home life involves my wife in particular, and also my kids to some degree. So, I, for me, it's about reducing noise, and by not having the two mixed together. And I find when I'm doing my professional stuff, I don't really need to see all the other bits. The second thing is, work-wise, it just lends better to be a digital board, whereas home-wise, it lends itself better to be a physical board. So that also creates sort of a natural separation of the two. So that's worked really well for me, and I have some overlap on an as-needed basis, kind of a just-in-time basis, and I find that kind of gives me the best of both worlds.
Cool. Yeah, because I think it Mark. Were you the one that had the project board
Right.
Kanban? Yeah. So I really, when I saw that, I went, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. I had never thought of using a project board to make it portable because that's been the big struggle in my house about setting up a family one is where to put it.
Right. Right.
And if you use that, you don't have to worry about it. You can put it wherever it works for that day.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I found those Velcro tabs. I think 3M makes them, and they've got the strips where they will remove right off the wall without making a mess, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
we've got it in one place now, but we can take it down to put my son can put stickies on it on the table, since it's a
Yeah.
little shorter. Or if we decide we want to move it, we can just easily do that. So,
Yeah. And having the backlog on the backside, I thought that was awesome.
oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think that's going to work out pretty nice. And as far as the reasoning goes for the two separate ones, for me is just taken from Jerry's recommendations about having the physical board for the family, and then my digital board again pertains probably more to work. Although I've already found myself doing some of the just-in-time stuff too. In fact, I think I put 2 or 3 items from the home physical board today onto my digital one. I needed to do some stuff at work to get those items done. So
Yep.
That's where the crossover is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, one of the things is I want to get stuff off that repeatable section and have my kids
Right.
doing more of it since they're done with school. It's like, okay, guys, you're free. I'm not.
Outsourcing.
Yeah, exactly. With local talent.
Yep. And if you have a small family like ours, the two of us, the Lean Kit iPad app really works well too. So we carried it on the plane. We had it all the time together on vacation. Whenever we wanted, we could create it. It's useful. So give it a try if you can.
Yeah. No, I've already tried the digital boards with my family, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
But when I tried a physical board, the kids actually liked moving the stickies around.
Yes.
But just a very basic Kanban didn't work for them. So I think what I might do is have like the standard waiting, doing, done, but on the bottom do that repeatables like I did on my main board because they wanted to track some things by day. So it's like, okay, now I have a way to do that. So we'll see how that works. So Eric, I might be replicating your idea tomorrow. Or Mark, sorry.
I hear it. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not as expensive as I made it sound, so go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, for some reason, as an agile coach, I have lots of stickies in my house.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. Well, we got about 2.5 minutes. Does anybody else have other comments on that? I want to make sure we get to the last topic. No? All right. I'm just going to go ahead and board showcase.
So that one's really just a placeholder for anyone if they wanted to pop up their board and ask some questions or get some feedback in addition to kind of what we're doing and asynchronously. So does anyone want to do a little show and tell?
Did everyone get a chance to see the 3-panel project board that I posted?
I did not.
No, not yet.
Yeah, we'll get that board showcase date set up. Give ourselves a bit more time.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to do a live demo, Mark.
Oh, live demo? No, gosh, I can.
No, short notice. No.
Yeah, I was just going to pull up pictures of it, or if somebody else can get at it quickly, that would be good too. But I can do a live demo of it next time. Maybe. The beauty of it is I can bring it to this room.
I tell you, that might be faster than trying to figure out how to pull it up in Google Plus. So.
Yeah.
Well, we're kind of at 8:53 now, and I know Mark, you got something that starts right at 9, so I'd like to give you a little bit of breather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just in general, right now, is there anything burning for anyone here? Anything that you'd like to bring up just to kind of make this session complete?
I'd like to basically talk more on these everybody's boards, but I want more time to take a look at it. So give me some days. I would like to look at it, learn from it, and either give my comments or redesign some of the stuff I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would just be good if anybody does like some significant changes to their board, if they just get a quick snapshot, put it up there, and then we've got some things that we might queue up some questions for the next time.
Yeah, I'm going to look into some better ways to organize them. One thought that's coming to mind, if you guys are open to it, is I actually have a Tumblr site which is kind of a gallery of Kanban boards. And so another option could be to submit your photo by email with a description, and then we can tag them with who and all that kind of stuff, and then you'd have you could basically have like your own diary of the progression of your Kanban board. and everyone can comment on it. Even people who aren't in our group can see it and be inspired and offer some feedback too. So that might be one way to deal with the diarrhea that is Google Plus when it comes to posting boards.
So it doesn't allow something like that. It's not. We can't create a group album and people posting it there.
No, it doesn't seem to be that way. I think you can create your own personal album, and then we can go to your profile and find your album, and then click on it and then go through them. But yeah, exactly.
That's
too much diarrhea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys,
Great.
it's thank you first of all to Mark for leading the lean coffee. That was great.
Thanks,
Oh, no problem.
That's fine.
As you saw on my board, I have another virtual lean coffee I'm kicking off on Friday.
Yes.
So. Yeah.
So
Practice.
I hope you'll share one key takeaway we got from tonight that we're gonna apply in the next couple of weeks.
Goals. Add goals.
Yeah, goals.
Yeah. Plus one on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
And I would take it a little further. I think what I want to do is what goals do I want to focus on for the week and keep that in front of me on my board.
And limit the work in progress on that goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a goals in progress limit.
It's
Fantastic. All right, great session, everyone. So
Yeah, thanks.
So we'll
you
meet
guys.
again so we'll meet again in 2 weeks, and
Well,
I'll have some more videos up for you later this week.
Your arm is great.
sounds good.
Bye. Gotta go.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks.